Here. Hello, everybody. We're live. Sorry we're late. It was me. It was me that put us on African time because my dinner was ready correctly at the right time. But I just felt like for the first time this week actually eating it and not rushing off to do something. How are you guys? Kgofu, Themba, great to see you. Your fidelity is amazing. Both of you, I can see and hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had my dinner. My pre-dinner snack. That's why I'm chewing all over the place, you know.
Hey, my red cousin from the north, him and his pre-dinners. Can you imagine this guy?
Yeah,
He
you know,
actually-
we all need pre-dinners. Come on, pre-dinners keep you sane, you know.
It's civilized.
You should give me back your card, your last race card. You can't play the race card when you're having pre-dinners.
Whatever. How you guys doing? How's everyone doing?
Oh,
I noticed something very interesting. You guys are able to keep very still and sit very still. I can't for the life of me. I'm always moving around, eh? Like check how Themba is posing. You know, he's like, and he's able to sit like that throughout the whole show.
Well, I've got a very comfortable chair, and my dog doesn't like it when I stream, as you can hear. So,
Yeah, I was just about to say that we're over the Kremlins. Now we're with the dogs.
Yeah.
That's it. So, well, it's great to sit down with you guys again, like the first time in a week. I'm working to get a special guest on. He's keen. He's just a very busy guy, and I think you both know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I think it's going to be quite an interesting chat.
Yeah, he seems like a hell of an interesting guy. Although I have to admit, I haven't listened to his radio station, but he seems to be like dropping truth bombs all over the place.
I also haven't listened to his show now on radio. I used to watch his show on TV, the music show, and I actually didn't know that he was a gun guy until I followed him on Twitter. You know,
Same.
and and saw him, showing off some of his nice tools. And yeah, and it's good to see some of our celebrities just coming on board and arming themselves. You know what I mean? And doing the world some good. Instead of relying on big tele.
Exactly, and he's quite an outspoken guy. I mean, he doesn't pull his punches at all. I'm the poor audience. Hello, guys. Hi, Kermit. Hi, Wesley. Hi, everyone else tuning in. The poor audience has absolutely no idea who we're talking about, but I don't want to out the guy just yet because
we just need to keep the suspense going. Let them
keep
guess,
the suspense going. It's not Gareth Cliff. Gareth Cliff is a gun guy.
Yeah.
But we're talking about somebody that's got a bit more coffee in his milk than Gareth does. I don't know.
He's not black. He's not white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to leave it at.
Exactly. I just want to check if Themba is still with us.
Yeah, Themba, can you hear us?
No.
I think he might be rushing to go get his dinner.
Yeah, put in the radio guy. That's it. We're gonna call him the radio guy. So
maybe the guys can keep guessing. You know what I mean? We can't confirm or deny their guesses, but they can keep guessing.
If you guess the right guy, then I tell you what, we'll shut up. I'll send you a free cap.
Nice.
Good evening, Eugene. Okay. So I actually wanted Themba to dive into this because he seems to be the point man on all things ANC. I mean, he wore the branded shirt on our first live stream, so that was that was hectic. But Jason, what's the radio? I know no one listens to that anymore, but some people do.
The thing that's got an aerial, and you twist the knob, and you look for people who are talking constantly, and you find the right person you like.
Nope, not Reddy D. I've no idea who Reddy D is. This just goes to show you how completely out of touch with DJs I am.
But he's kind of close, a little bit close. But I'm not going to say how close.
Is Reddy D, and pardon my ignorance, Reddy, if you're watching, that I don't know who you are. It's not because you're not famous. It's because I just don't understand. I have no clue who radio personalities are. Is he a gun guy?
I'm not sure. I actually don't follow him on any of the socials. But he looks like a very cool guy. He's more of like so he's a DJ. I mean, hip hop DJ, and he's also more of a car guy because he used to host one of these car shows. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not Ready D, guys. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ready D came out and said, "Look, I'm a gun guy." You know what I mean? In actual fact, I think that would be an awesome thing. To be honest with you.
The more the merrier. The more people who have radio stations who come out and say stuff like that, I'm way behind them. Well, I'm not way behind them. I'm backing them.
Yeah. One thing I did see though, as I was strolling the streets of Twitter, I don't know if you know Sizwe Dlomo.
No, but
Kaya FM.
Okay, but Kai FM's good people. I think we've already established that.
So our potential guest likes to like coach him a lot on his tweets. And I saw the other day, about a month or two back, he had posted that he's got a nice Glock 45. You know, and I mean, this is a guy who hosts Drive Time Radio. You know, so you can imagine quite a lot of following. Although I didn't see a lot of comments, people were just going in and saying, "Oh, you should have bought yourself an HKP 30." And I was like, I don't give a crap. I don't give a shit. The man's got a gun. That's a start.
Ooh,
you know.
By the way, this.
So you know what I'm saying. So
Dumiso is.
Dumiso, I don't know who that is, brother. Sorry, I can't. I don't know who's Warren.
We don't know. Who's this guy?
No, I don't know who Warren is. I think Ready D was close. You know, Ready D was close.
We don't know who DJ Warris is at all.
Are we finding Themba?
No. I'm not even finding him on WhatsApp. But let's see.
It might be the Madupi power station that blew up. Maybe, you know.
For the second time, Floyd, evening Squire.
Hey Floyd, how you doing? And Graham, how you doing? I like Graham's profile picture, the purple one.
Oh God, I remember the brew. Did he pass away? That is absolutely terrible.
Who's the brew?
He's a guy that's he regularly came into the comment section of my channel, like decent fellow. And I haven't seen him in a while. And that's terrible news.
Yeah, man. RIP to the brew and condolences to his family. That really is not really kosher.
I mean, I'm not going to pry and ask online what happened. I mean, that's not really.
Yeah,
cool.
no.
It's just terrible that you know that. Okay, I'll check offline and. That's awful.
It sucks to lose people, you know.
Well, I kind of actually, I was hoping Themba would actually. How's it, Nick and Grant?
Hey, there's G-Dub.
You know, after saying RIP to the brew and condolences to everyone, what I wanted Themba to unpack for us was this thing that came out of the ANC National Working Committee, and I'll read it on air. It was on Politics Web, where they said the NWC commended the demonstration of lawful people's power by citizens and organized civil society who rejected these counter-revolutionary actions in reference to the insurrection. It was actually the rioting and looting. Who rejected these. Yeah, the coup, who rejected these counter-revolutionary actions in the words and actions and rose in defense of their communities and our constitutional democracy. Now, wait, Themba's here. Please just give us long enough. Themba, how's it?
I'm sorry, my life is.
Are you repairing me, Doopy, brother?
Yeah?
Are you repairing Midupi power station?
I wish I was. That would have been a better task at hand.
Yeah. So while I have you here with the semi-stable connection, we were just unpacking the thing that I hoped you could add some clarity to, because you are our ANC point man. I don't think anyone here has better understanding of structures.
Hey, I'm an ANC man.
Yeah, but
I just don't publicize it.
You're a reformed revolutionary. You don't have the street cred anymore, Kgofu. You're basically as white as I am. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's the cardigans and the Pringles, and the sun.
That's exactly what gave it away. So I was reading that quote from that thing published on Politics Web by the ANC National Working Committee, and I'll read it again. The NWC commended the demonstration of lawful people's power by citizens and organized civil society who rejected these counter-revolutionary actions, in reference obviously to rioting and looting, in the words and actions, and rose in defense of their communities and our constitutional democracy. Now that's a pretty strong statement. I mean, that's not beating around the bush or fucking around. I mean, that's as close as you're going to come to an ANC committee saying, thank you, armed citizens, for grabbing your guns, filling the security vacuum, and protecting infrastructure, neighborhoods, and businesses. Themba, did you have anything to do with that? Or was it actually just they've woken up and smelled the coffee a little bit there?
No, there's no waking up and smelling the coffee out of the blue. There's a video of myself lecturing them. Those very people saying that. If you remember, outside of my...
I remember, and actually that video is available on the Rioters YouTube channel, by the way.
Are you saying it's just a distraction?
No, it wasn't a distraction per se. The statement borrows a lot from that short meeting. Because prior to that meeting, there's another part of that conversation that you guys did not see, which was between myself and the president and the rest of the delegation, where we raised these points and we raised the fact that, especially myself being an outspoken, well, at the present moment, because I did not renew my membership because I'm pissed off with them. No, they need to know that. And
they do.
At least you've been paying, dog. I haven't been paying shit.
Yeah, my belief is that it makes no point me bashing the ANC on such a huge thing and still funding the opposite idea of what I stand for. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it really wouldn't make sense. So, as we always say, that when you want to hit people, especially organizations, you hit them where it hurts the most, and that's the finance. So my little membership fee, my cross on the ballot, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I had a strong-worded chat with them. That's why they decided, okay, let's allow the president to leave, because we have this short meeting inside the mall. So the president heard what we had to say, and he took, and I'm of the understanding that he understood what we said, why we said it, why it was so crucial that he sees that the so-called organization that is currently the BFF of all codes, without any members, which is your GFSA and the three people that work in that backyard office, are liars. So, I mean, by the way, the president owns his own personal firearms. He's a hunter. He's got a nice rifle. I don't know if he still has a pistol with him. At some point, I know he did for sure. And as do many of those people that you saw around me in that quick lecture outside the mall. So they understood, they saw, because we showed them exactly why we need our arms and why they need to go for the illegal arms and leave us the hell alone.
That is a solid on-point statement. So my question is, what came from this then? Is that reaction sincere, or are they trying to placate while at the same time still being committed to their previous course of action where they're going to try and take people's guns away. Because I think I'd like to believe there was a strong demonstration that they kind of maybe came to realize that it's not going to be as straightforward as they think it is, and there's a big political price to pay to continue down that road. But I don't have the same level of insight as you guys do.
Can I just jump in there quickly?
Go for it.
And I mean, this is from the conversations that I've had with some of the ANC guys, and some of the things that I've heard in sort of the passages. The ANC will never allow us, according to these guys, the ANC will never allow us to have the Second Amendment, essentially, as America has, and predominantly that's because of the fear that they have that, the Second Amendment is there, to protect the citizens against tyranny. The ANC knows that they're messing up, as we've always been saying on the show, and they'll never really allow citizens to be armed to the teeth.
Yep.
And I believe that, because if you were to look at currently as we sit, the ANC knows that the problem is not legally armed firearm owners. We've got a crime issue in the country. We've also got a socio-economic problem, unemployment, failing infrastructure, blah blah blah, inefficient government, and all those sorts of things. And any person with a small brain can tell you that the reason we have crime is a function of the high unemployment rate in this country. It's not because firearm owners and legally armed firearm owners are giving their guns or losing their guns, and contributing to crime. That's not the issue. We've had reports that have come out that show the amount of ammunition that's been and firearms that's been lost by the police and the military. And I said last week, look at all the posts that you come across and all the articles where a crime has been committed. Look at the firearms that are there. Most of them are state issue.
Yeah.
So you want to tell me that the ANC does not know this? I mean, our president at some point was saved by someone who had a firearm.
Yep.
We'd be talking right now and he would not be president. He would not even be alive, probably.
In fact, I'm going to repost that photograph with this quote from you right after this live stream is done, because that image says it all to me.
Pretty much. And as Themba just said, we're talking about a man who is a hunter, a man who's got a farm, a man who spends $10 million on bulls, And this is a man who I can't remember what conference was being held, and I think someone from Saga, I think it was the chairman of Saga, asked him about
it was at the Atterbury Theatre in Pretoria.
Yes.
It was 2018. It was Fred Kampfer from SA Hunters.
And his response was, in Vietnam, only the police carry firearms. You know what I mean? But I'm sure
not even the police carry firearms, only the military. And exactly that. He said that is his ideal society.
And if you're going to talk about ideals, let's talk about the ideal employment, unemployment rate. You know what I mean? The ideal economic growth. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to be talking ideals, because if you're going to be mimicking Vietnam, Singapore, whatever, they don't have the issues that we have. They don't have the crime rate that we have. No one in China wakes up and thinks I'm going to freaking rob, because they know the consequences of that.
Even better than the ideal where we string corrupt politicians up by their necks until they're dead. Because if you want the one part of Vietnam, you have to take the other part of Vietnam. Sorry, Cyril.
Very true, very true. And what even pisses me off is you're gonna say all of these things, which is obviously very it's hypocritical. He's a hypocrite. I think we can all agree on that. You then take the Ministry of Intelligence, you put it under the presidency, and you appoint Zizi Godwa, who admittedly at the State Capture Commission said that he was given money by EOH and he bought himself a Jeep. I'm going to rest my case right there. So I don't believe that the National Working Committee is is gonna somehow miraculously change their tune. It's a fucking distraction. They're trying to make us believe that no, they're gonna do things that's gonna be in our favor. It's not. You know, they're gonna try and push the amendments through. You know, they're just trying to, fucking blackball us or pull a fucking wool over our eyes. We can't drop the ball. You know
There's
what I mean?
something we've never done.
Yep,
There's
Themba,
something
go.
we've never done. And it's easy because we're in a country that's still reeling from wounds of the past, and still, a lot of things, even simple political decisions, are being seen as a racial thing.
Not true. Very true.
People, where you had a couple of idiots from time to time saying, "Oh, they just want to disarm us whites," or even black people saying, "Oh, they know that whites are armed, and Cyril is in favor of the white community being armed. They don't want us being, So there's something we've never covered. No one has ever delved into, and I had a call from the Institute of Race Relations, and I think this was the second time that I actually had someone long enough on the phone to take them back to where does this anti-gun sentiment in the ANC, which has been had an armed wing and waged an armed struggle for so long, suddenly come from?
Yeah.
So I need a bit of time to get into that. I'll be quick, but I'll be long.
No, well, go. We've got the time, dude.
So I hope people will borrow me that. Yes, a lot of people don't know this, even people in the NC, because there's a lot of people who, unlike some of us, I mean, I wasn't one of those guys that joined the ANC because I wanted to belong somewhere in varsity and I felt irrelevant. I was born in this shit. So let's go back to the armed ANC suddenly being an ANC that is seen to be against arms. And I've been saying lightly in many comments before the likes of your gunfight and them were zuckered. I've been saying, guys, this is an armed organization. I don't believe that it is true that people do not want, these same people do not want you to be armed.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to the so-called freedom that the mass democratic movement, and I shy away from saying the ANC because that's a myth history that it was just the ANC. It was a mass democratic movement. Those of us in the know will call it the MDM. So when the MDM first wanted to speak to the oppressive government of the day, they were not listened to. They were not given an ear.
Yeah.
Pretty much what is happening to us now.
Oh no, did Themba cut out at like the crucial? No, man. We really need to crowdfund him a fiber connection because this is.
Yeah, the internet connection, but also I think what's also not helping is the fact that at night it just tends to become a little bit more congested. I work in the internet space, so I have a rough idea. You know what I mean? But one thing that I want to say, and this is a conversation that I had with my wife some time back, and in the disappointment and everything, and my wife said to me, and she said, we tend to forget that the ANC is an elitist movement. It was founded by a bunch of brainiacs, and we expect them to sort of identify with the layman on the street, but in actual fact you're talking about an elitist movement. And as much as we'd like to think that Firearms is an elitist thing, but it's something that's sort of appealing to guys at our level, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it was best that sentiment was best illustrated by George Orwell, where he said, "The rifle hanging on the wall of the labourer's cottage or in the working class flat is a symbol of democracy. It is our duty to ensure that it stays there." And
Amen.
that's the thing, yeah, you get the landed gentry with their shotguns who go out and shoot grouse. Lots of them are fuds, but because they don't want anyone else to own guns. But the average working class person that owns firearms for their own reasons, defense, recreation, whatever, those are your real gun guys. Those are the people who matter.
And I get Gideon that guns are not probably priority for the ANC and for some other politicians. You know what I mean? And I'm sure we've got much more other pressing issues, reducing crime, growing the economy and all of that. But I don't want to feel as if we're at a point where my right to own a firearm is now being sort of put at the bottom of the pile. You know what I'm saying? Because some person woke up and felt like, but hang on, these things are dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I don't want to feel like that. I also want to feel, as much as I know that it's not priority, but I want to feel as if, I'm not going to my rights are not going to be violated. My rights are not going to be taken away. I still want my right to be able to bear arms. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I don't want someone to just wake up and feel like, what, my cousin got robbed last night, so I'm going to make sure that no one ever has guns. And that person just happens to be in the right position.
And that's the thing. So I'd like to believe that to have gotten the statement out of the National Working Committee, it was a direct result of pressure. Because there's no way in hell they would have said something like that if there weren't pressure put on them, because it's in a way an admission in the opposite direction to what they want to move. So my hypothesis is, and you can interrupt me and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the only way that we're going to succeed in killing these amendments and getting what we want as a community is to become more aggressive, to put more pressure on, to not move back, and we got Themba back right at the key. It killed you as you were getting to the best bloody part.
Okay. Where did you lose it?
At MDM.
At MDM, it was a mass democratic movement.
Okay, so when the mass democratic movement was there was a lot of infighting because there was parties like the ANC that were saying, guys, we need to continue with the diplomatic attempt. Let's go and sit down with you guys. There's enough spoils in the land for us to share. We just want to share. Because that's basically
let's have tea and cake.
Basically, not the kind of type of, but yeah, it was tea and cake. And then there were other guys on the extreme that were saying, look, we've tried it. We were arrested. We had laws imposed. There was the Group Areas Act. There was the Immorality Act. There was, the theft of ancestral land and this and that. So then, remember, the ANC was led by, in the beginning, elderly people who were, most of them were actually chiefs of the small community. Chief Albert Lutuli being one that came down. But then they realized that they were getting old. And the struggle had to evolve.
Exactly.
So they had to recruit what they then called the young graduates. And that's where the likes of Mandela and his ilk started coming in. So they were not part of it.
The ANC Youth League, that's how it came into being.
Exactly. Okay. So when these guys were the next generation, taking tens of years, with a lot of backing from European countries and other African countries that were seeing the emancipation of their own people, these guys said, "Guys, we've tried this; it's not working. Maybe yes, let's stay on the tables with these guys." But since they're going out, there was a lot of government-sponsored massacres on various black communities in those times. I don't need to lecture any one of them. Google is there as well. So the guys said, we need to start hitting back, because if we now arm ourselves and we strategically inconvenience these people, that's why at some point Oliver Tambo stood up and said the youth should render the country ungovernable. He wasn't the country himself. He understood that the youth could do it, but him and people his age were too old to do much of it. But they were old enough to be listened to when they go to speak to the likes of the Margaret Thatchers and them.
Yep.
When Nelson then came up with the idea of an armed wing, you know that the entire leadership, the elderly leadership of the ANC, did not agree with that. Because
I'm not surprised.
they said it would upset the map. Right? One of your grandfathers, Gideon, you know.
Did you just take a jab there?
So it was majorly the elders in the SACP that said, let us try it, and sat down with their peers in the ANC and the rest of the tripartite alliance and said, let's give these young men's idea a chance. Maybe it will work. Face it, we've tried everything. Gideon is not listening.
No,
so we can't continue.
My connection is really terrible. But you and I had this conversation before, and I'm catching just enough of it to stay on track with you.
Yeah. I was talking about a proverbial Gideon of the past, not you.
Yeah.
We wouldn't allow him to do that.
We don't do that here. Yeah. Anyway, so then the elders in the SACP were the ones, mainly Joe Slovo at the time, who went and convinced the elders in the ANC to give the plan some chance. And then I don't need to tell you that with the SACP being the one that was spearheading this, the countries that then armed the ANC were the countries in the communist bloc.
Yeah.
It was China, it was Russia, and so forth. And they had been involved in similar situations in neighboring countries, most of them successfully. Yeah. And that's where it came about, that we had China, Russia, Cuba, and the likes sponsoring the arms struggle. Then came the negotiations, your CODESA. Now, ask yourself what happened. One of the major milestones of CODESA was that Chris Hani walked out.
Yeah.
One of the requests that the party made at the time was that we cannot go, borrowing from history. If you remember the story of King Tsetwayo and who were ambushed in the kraal, Piet Retief.
Oh yes.
So the ANC said, yeah. So the ANC then said, we cannot go into a meeting with an armed, oppressive government when we ourselves are unarmed. What if we are ambushed? And then, obviously, there was, you've written about this as well, there were concessions made. There was a compromise on either side.
That is an incredibly interesting Sergeant. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But the Peter Tiff story taken in reverse by the ANC, where they're like, we're not going to walk into Dingaan's kraal disarmed ourselves. Talk about learning from history.
Yeah. That's what I keep saying. A lot of people don't understand this, because if you do not grow up eating, spitting, hearing, bathing, and having this on your face every day, all day, all of your life, it's not easy to understand. Unfortunately, the NC back then used to have what we call the political school, and they've, for some strange reasons, done away with. They've tried to revive it. I'm not sure how great that is working out, because I'm not
I think
as
it's
active as
called
I
the School
was
of.
as a young club player.
I think it's now called the
Now,
ANC School of Governance or something like that.
when some of the things that were put in these deals were not agreeable to, Tristan walked out, and he was one of the young leaders, but he was in the forefront. Remember, this was the person who was single-handedly responsible, mainly responsible for the arms struggle. And he walked out saying, this deal, when you walk out of a recording deal saying, look, you guys cannot tell me you're taking my talent, but you're going to own royalties and everything. I want piece of my own talent. And that's one of the reasons why Chris Hani walked out. And a lot of the elders felt at the time that they had run their race to the end, and they were going to take whatever that they were being given, and they walked out. The other thing we need to remember, guys, is that the so-called democracy was negotiated by the people who had captured the state at the time. So the mining conglomerate were the ones that were forcing both sides to sit down, because they were the ones who were getting hard hit because they couldn't sell their stuff in the global market. It wasn't because Sasol was bombed. That was a very small stone in the river of what was happening back then. All right. The bigger thing was that the people with the money behind that funded the oppressive state were the ones who were feeling the pinch, and they were the ones who stood up and said, "Okay, guys, we've given you this big seat, but now we need to find other ways. Otherwise, we're going to be in a position where we can't even fund you guys."
Yeah,
that is the reality of it. So you and I are distracted by politicians politicking. The money behind the politics is where the real politics are.
So essentially, when people on both sides of the spectrum, and we're talking about the extreme left and the extreme right, for want of I hate that phrase because I feel left wing and right wing doesn't quite cover the spectrum. It's not accurate. But
your line is very good.
Is it? I think we've just lost Themba. Can you still hear me, Kgofu?
Yeah, I can still hear you clearly.
Damn it! And then, so what I was saying is that the interesting part of that discussion we just had with Themba is both sides of the extreme. When they say this country was sold out, they're not wrong. And hang on, Themba, sorry, mate.
There we go.
Welcome back. So what I was saying is, when we talk about the extreme side, the extremes of both sides of the discussion, when they say for different reasons, well, not entirely different, maybe similar reasons, that the country was sold out prior to 1994, they're not necessarily wrong, by the sounds of it. They're approaching the same issue from different directions.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we address quite a number of sort of fundamental.
I'm gonna try and move around and see if it's not my issue, because I'm really not hearing.
Go to the roof. Climb on top of the roof.
Climb on top of the roof, Themba. Can you hear us now? Okay. Well, Themba, sorry, Kgofu, you carry on.
Yeah. I think one of the things that Themba started by saying is that, a lot of what is happening is a function of the previous injustices, right?
I can hear you, Themba. Can you hear me?
I was saying I'm not hearing.
I can hear you now, Themba.
Yeah, we've got you. This is like a Zoom seance. Like, can you hear us?
Yeah. Your camera is on, and you're not wearing any pants. Like Zoom.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think
move around.
I think if we drop Themba off and we drop him back on, that might work. There, hang on. Let's just do that, and we'll just wait. Sorry, you carry on, Kgofu.
One of the biggest mistakes that we tend to do as black and whites, and every other races in this country, is one, we don't appreciate the fact that we're different as people, right? We've got different cultures, we've got different languages, we've got different habits, we've got different everything. Now, that does not make us bad people, acknowledging that, right?
Absolutely.
Now that is actually a bit of an advantage because we can each celebrate our differences. I mean, I like to joke around and say, you know, you whiteys are always missing out. You know, we black folk, we go and groove in Soweto, in Mamelodi, in Soshanguve, and then go hit Santon and have great dinner. You know, and we find a lot of whiteys just chilling in freaking the Pretoria and Santon and not wanting to go and experience Soweto and not wanting to experience Mamelodi and all these other places. These are places that are not necessarily closed off to them for them to experience. Now, the sooner we get to a point where we start celebrating and actually appreciating our differences, I think the better we start to start sorting out a lot of bullshit, right? And secondly, we need to realize that over and above the injustices that have obviously transpired, you know, black people have been placed on a back foot, you know, with pretty much a lot of things, you know, economic emancipation, land ownership, and all of that. Now, in South Africa, we always preach about Ubuntu. Now, Ubuntu is a sense where your neighbor will never go to bed hungry as long as you're there and you've got a little bit extra, you know, and you can help. You know what I'm saying? And we need to get to a point where each and every one of us, black and white, you know, find a way to contribute to ensuring that we can make the nation better. Because we are South Africa, you know, fuck all these guys that are leaving. It's okay. Leave if you want to leave. You know what I'm saying? And those that are staying here, let's try and make it happen, irrespective of the issues that we have.
And
you know,
irrespective of the government, which is,
you know, and I'm going to call it out for what it is. You know, I always speak to a lot of white folk. No, I'm leaving. This country's bad. But you're forgetting that at some point, this country was good to you. You know what I'm saying? It gave you what you currently have. You know?
It was good enough for a long time.
Now, because it's not giving you that, you just want to pack up and leave because you feel that, you know what, that's the easiest thing. Let's leave it to the people that are staying behind. And that mentality needs to come to a fucking halt. And it needs to stop. And it's pretty much, you know, the sort of ongoing narrative with a lot of people wanting to leave. Some people are staying because they can't leave because they don't have the funds. You know, we're staying because we made a choice to stay, you know, and make a difference. You know what I mean? There's only so much of our bullshit that Australia, New Zealand, and fucking England can stomach. You know what I'm saying? And we've all heard the stories of what happens when a lot of the guys get over that side. And I'm not saying it's everyone. But we need to get to a point where we appreciate the differences, we realize the wrongs that have been done, and we move forward and we start to fix a lot of the shit. And the reason why I'm saying that is this then speaks to the fact that you hear statements like, yeah, the ANC wants to disarm the white guys. You know what I'm saying?
The ANC wants to disarm all the guys. And this is a fight I've had with so many people. It's like, you know, you can point out that the majority of legal gun owners of this country are black and have been for some time. This is not a race-based agenda. This is a across-the-board agenda. They want everyone's guns. The only guns they want are the ones that the VIP protection guys have. The rest of us can all go get fucked. And that's your opposition. Those are your enemies.
And when I look at when I read the very same amendments that we've all been reading, I don't know, unless maybe guys are getting different amendments, but the amendments that I'm reading are not saying we're going to take white people's guns. Your black people are safe. Keep your guns, go out and buy some more. You know what I'm saying? It says we're going to take everyone's guns. And I'm sitting here and I'm doing my submissions and I'm contributing wherever I can because I don't want my guns as a black person to be taken. I also don't want Gideon's guns as a white person to be taken. You know what I mean? Otherwise, in my submissions, I would say, we are safe as black people. Take them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They want all the guns.
You know what I'm saying? And fuck it. That's why I started off by saying, let's appreciate the fact that we're different. Let's appreciate the fact that shit happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? Let's deal with shit as, you know, as we're meant to. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you wrong your wife or when your wife wrongs you, she doesn't say, you know what? Let's forget the past and move on. You know, she says, dude, you
Let's
fucked
talk
up.
about
This
it.
is what you did. Let's talk about it. Let's move forward
Yeah.
and make sure you don't do it again. You know what I'm saying? And we got to stop this pussyfooting and putting bandages over shit because it's not worked for the past 27 years. And that's why we find ourselves here. And the truth of the matter is, yes, the ANC is afraid of the fact that, you know, white people are armed. And they're also equally afraid of the fact that black people are also armed and more
Yep.
are also getting armed. You know what I'm saying?
Every
And purely
single day,
because,
more and more getting armed.
yes, and purely because they know that they're fucking up as a government. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this again. It's gonna sound irrelevant. It's gonna sound out of context. We as gun owners need to get to a place where we hit the streets, become aggressive, put pressure on the ruling party, and make sure that we get what we want.
I agree 100% because talking to them nicely behind closed doors hasn't achieved a single thing over the past
Nothing.
20 to
We still
25
have
years.
Hatman as the Minister of Police. Remember, I predicted that last week and said we're
Yep.
still gonna have him as the Minister of Police. Do you
God,
think
I
he's
hate the
listening
fact
there?
that you were right on that. I was so going. I was agreeing with you in logically, but my heart was going, God, I hope Kgofu is wrong. And
Cabinet reshuffles are not about competency. You know what I mean? They're not about who's competent. You know,
no,
it's about consolidating power. It's about making sure that you've got your allies close to you. You know what I mean? And the only way we're gonna get Cyril and Becky Cele to listen to us is when we do what the people on the ground normally do when they want things done that they have been trying to get done that are not being done. I know that sounds a bit weird. You know
well,
what I mean?
and by that account, a small 100-person protest outside the gates of Parliament next week that has to comply with COVID restrictions. That's only 100 people deep. That's not going to bring the mass that we need. It's a good demo. It's something that should happen. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. It's a good idea. It's a start, but we need more than just that.
South Africans, South Africans, and I'm gonna call it for what it is. If you guys hate me, it's okay. South Africans are a bunch of fucking lazy you know, bunch, and I'm gonna include myself in that.
We're also apathetic in the sense we hope and expect that someone else will pick up the slack on our behalf,
Yeah.
which worked for a while, guys. But the free rider problem is a problem.
And the thing, the truth of the matter is, the ANC is in power. We're not in power. You know what I'm saying? They can delay this thing for as long as they want to, as long as they're in power. Now, the fact that, and this is what I love about sometimes, you know, I come from a rural area, and you get to see what happens in the township. When the people stand up and say, we are tired of this shit, we are tired of the fact that we don't have water. Next week we are going to hit the fucking ground and we're gonna hit the streets, and everyone comes together. You know what I'm saying? All we do is we sit in our comfortable homes and we say, "Ooh, look at this barbaric act. Look at these people. What are they doing?" But they are sending a message in terms of what they want. And best you believe me, the ANC is gonna send a ward councillor or a minister to go and have a chat with them.
That's exactly it. What they are doing is what we should be doing. Charlene hits the nail on the head. Look at the Frenchies. The French have been, they sprayed, unless I was looking at the wrong clip.
With horse poo, I saw
they
that.
sprayed the president's house, Macron's house, with horse ships.
I saw that.
They are not taking prisoners. I am from French Huguenot ancestry, which means I have a bit of the barbaric Frenchman still in me, somewhere deep in under this fake layer of thin veneer of civilization painted over me, where I'm expected to behave in a certain way because, I'm now a soft-spoken civilized man. If you are trying to kill me in my house, disarm me, take from me my livelihood, my savings, my job, my healthcare, my education, you're coming for the children I don't have yet, but I mean, in theory, why must I be civilized in my resistance against that?
Very true.
I mean,
very, very true.
But Dion, they might be gay, but up until they surrendered to the Germans twice, they did a pretty decent job.
Fuck off, Dion. Fuck off, Dion. Fuck off, Dion. The French have good butter and fucking good bread.
I was about to say they've got decent wine, but I think ours are better. I've had French wine.
We've got the best wines.
Our stuff's better, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade, but like, don't buy the super.
Anyone that believes that French wine is better than South African wine, I'll give you my address for you to come here so I can kick your ass.
I had the most wonderful. By the way, this is not the topic of tonight's discussion, but there was a colored gentleman who was tasting South African. We're not allowed to call it champagne anymore because it's not from the Champagne region. We have to call it what's called
Method de Cop Classique or something.
MC, yeah. So
MCC.
it's the same bloody thing. Okay, it's grape juice that has been fermented with sparkling bubbles in it. Okay, and he took the sip.
Can I jump in there? Can I jump in? Sorry.
Yeah.
They're all the same, but they're not the same as Dom Perignon. I'm gonna leave that one right there.
That's fair, but I mean, this guy's comment was he took a sip of the stuff and he looked at the winemaker and he said, "Die is soveel beter as daai moet kak." And he had the full blown. The heavy Cape colored accent, and I loved every moment of that interaction. I was like, that's epic.
I love Cape Town. I mean, every time I get a chance, I hit Cape Town, and I hit it with my wife, and we buy a ton load of wine, and we do like the whole wine, but we don't do like. I'm not a big Spier fan. I mean, I wouldn't be caught.
No, I find it very commercialized. Spier is
it is,
Next time you come down, I'll take you to some of the smaller family estates where it's a lot rougher, but it's a lot nicer, in my opinion.
I'll tell you the ones that I love: Haute Cabria, Glenwood. I think there's Glen Ellie. I love Tokara, although it looks very commercial.
Akerhof, very small, near Franschhoek, family-run thing, like husband and wife team. You'll have a really good experience there. I can give them a shout out. Akerhof, not Aikendal, which is a separate estate. Akerhof.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, when I'm there, we're definitely going to be drinking wine, buddy. You ain't going to be sleeping when I'm there.
I better take my essentials because the thing is, as soon as you're over 30, you start getting that 3-day hangover, which is a satanically bad thing.
The plumbing. But anyway, let's get back to
the thing is the only way that we're going to preserve our gun rights, okay, is by taking hands with people that, depending upon which side of the train tracks you're on, may have been your sworn enemy back in the day. I mean, that's cool. Right now, that guy's got a gun, you've got a gun, and the ANC is trying to take the guns from you. It's like Dion says, how do we get the brothers to work together? What we have to do is you can acknowledge the differences. You can even acknowledge animosity. You don't have to like the person. We don't have to like each other at all. We don't have to love each other. All we have to do is say, cool, you deserve your place in the sun. I deserve mine. We mutually respect that, or we tolerate each other. And we are now going to work together in pursuit of the common goal, which is to fuck gun control up. We're going to take that rugby ball. We're going to kick it not just into touch. We're going to kick it out of the stadium. We're going to punch the ref in the face, and we're going to burn all the red cards. We're done. Yeah. We're not playing this game anymore.
Can you bring up Dion's comment again? I think he says, how do we get our black brothers and white booties to work together? We seem to still operate separately when it comes to common issues. Here's the thing, right? There is no reason that is stopping us from working together. All these reasons are just fucking fabricated all in our minds and in media and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. You might not know your neighbor. Your neighbor might be black, you might be white, right? But nothing is actually stopping you when you see him watering his lawn to step over and say, hey man, I'm Kgofu. What's your name? You know what I'm saying? And for some reason we seem to be failing at the basic of shit, but we want to actually go and tackle gun control.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're trying to justify the fact that no, we all have a common thing, but we actually don't. You know, the commonality in all of this is that we're human beings.
Yep.
That's the commonality in all of this. You know, we can speak to each other. We breathe the same air. You know, we just have different skin color. You know, guns are not necessarily it's a secondary commonality.
Exactly.
Now, if you can't deal with the commonality of being a human being, and the fact that, you know, your neighbor is black, I'm white, and we can actually relate because we're human beings. You know what I'm saying? Remember, your neighbor doesn't move in and then come and spray horse shit on your house and you have a reason to hate him.
No. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully not. Hopefully not. That would make my day more interesting than I would want it to be. I'd have to ask him if he's fucking French if he does that. You know, where's your yellow vest? Mad.
I mean, I've had some very nice white neighbors where I would have a braai and I would say, come through, let's drink some whiskey, and we chat shit the whole night. And you realize, but fuck, I was gonna miss out on actually having a good neighbor who I can actually drink with. I don't have to go outside and go drink outside and have to deal with the cops, you know, who might want to lock me up. But here's a guy who's cool as hell, who's living next door, that I can actually drink with. You know what I mean? And actually have a braai with. My kids can play with his kids. You know. Now we want to take the whole gun thing and make it a commonality. It's not. Deal with the fact that you're human beings first. Accept that common element. You know, that's the first thing. If you're trying to jump to the gun thing and you haven't accepted that the fact that this man is a human being, that's why you're gonna find yourself asking a question like Dion and saying, how can we work together? Why the fuck should we even be asking that question? Well, you know what I'm saying?
It sounds simple, but it's, you know what the problem is, and this is something I find is we've been bludgeoned by the corporate media for so long about what our differences are, and they're absolutely insidious about it. They paint it as a message of unity, but the message of unity actually signals differences, and a heavy focus on it that say, you know what, we're different, but we need to learn to tolerate each other. And like, if you're a guy that has a job, you're going to work, you have kids at school, you live next door to me. I'm a guy with a job, I've got kids going to school, I have a job, I live next door to you. We're in the same neighborhood, we already have the same concerns pertaining to life there. We may have private issues that aren't common, but I mean, I have white neighbors that I have almost nothing in common with, because our personalities are so different. That doesn't preclude us having that respect, that neighborliness, that concern for each other's well-being. I think the fact that we've been lectured so long for synthetic and insincere reasons about what we should be achieving, people have become jaded. We've been forced to overthink a very simple issue. That's like, this all just starts with a handshake and a hello. It is as simple as that. And that handshake and that hello is representative of a fundamental respect of the other person's existence and their space. That's it.
Let me give you a dumb example. And I made this example before about the fact that, you know, we've got such an amazing country. We can go to the township, like I said, and go have, you know, a 750 ml beer and then go into Santon and have the finest wine from Haute Cabria. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you look at our white brothers on the other hand that are missing out. They're sitting in suburbia. But they don't know that you can go to Soweto or Mamelodi and have a braai any day of the week. You know what I mean? And no one is gonna rob you. They're gonna welcome you with open arms. Dude, my first ever sports shooting event that I attended, I was the only black dude. Right?
I think there's some photos on your social media of that.
Yeah. I was the only black dude. Do you think I was scared that I was gonna get shot by all the Buddha guys that were there? Nah.
Not a
You know what
chance.
ended up happening? I got so much free beer, but like I was having the time of my life, you know? And not even once did I even think that, fuck, what did I even think? You know what I mean? I didn't even think that to begin with. My whole thing was I'm going there, I'm going to go shoot. There's going to be people there. Yes, I'm black, they're white. And if they got a problem, they'll let me know, but I'm going to go and shoot. And I got there, but I drank beer that day. And I kept on going and I kept on going, and I've never stopped going pretty much. And I've been going ever since.
And you're still loving it.
I'm still loving. So the vet always need to realize that there's a lot of meat back in the township, guys. You just need to go up in there, pay. You know what I'm saying? But also going back to the topic at hand. We sort these out. We can better sort out the gun control issues.
Yeah.
Because then when we get to the gun control issues, there will not necessarily be any differences that we'll be trying to overcome. You know what I mean? We would have overcome the difference before. We would know that the gun issue is not a matter of black and white. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't even be black and white. Because we would have already addressed those issues. It's about the fact that we want to own guns. And remember, even in gun ownership, there's hunters, there's sports shooters, there's self-defense. You know what
Collectors,
I'm saying?
different sport disciplines. We've got so many subdivisions. But I think the one thing that has happened, and this is like we're at the 1 hour mark, and Themba's connection has been awful now because I still had some questions to ask him. So I'll ask you the last question, but and I think you've already answered it, but we'll just do it for the sake of it. I think what happened here was the gun control issue forced people who otherwise would never reach out to each other to integrate and have these types of discussions. I mean, that's kind of what I gave up on my YouTube channel a little bit because I didn't have anything interesting to say. At least I didn't think so. So thank you to everyone, all of you who think this is worth watching. I really deeply appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for all the super chats, and thank you for the support. It means more to me than you think. But that's what Themba and I started this conversation, and Kgofu was the natural guy to rope in to complete like the threesome. Because we're different people, we have different ways of expressing our opinions, but I thought this was a time to have a discussion space for exactly these types of topics, and they're not exactly always easy to talk about, but they're necessary to be discussed. And I hope to believe this has opened a new world for people and how we see each other.
And that's why I made the marriage analogy. You know what I mean?
We're partners.
Your partners, dude, your wife might fucking rub you up the wrong way. Like you might want to lock her outside.
I mean, honest to God, if you don't rub each other up the wrong way after 10 years of marriage, then there's something missing in your marriage. You're on Xanax 24/7. You need to get off your prescription drug addiction.
I mean, and that's the thing. You and your wife and you and your partner are different, but you still love each other. You love the fact that she fucking, drinks this type of wine and she looks at you this way. She loves the fact that, you wear shorts and you fart in bed or whatever.
Take the trash out occasionally and remember to, feed the dog. That sort of stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Once in a while, she might think you're a doofus because, you came back at fucking 2:00. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's how we win the fight. That's how we win the fight. Because when we hit those streets, we are not thinking, shit, there's black and white. We're thinking we want to fucking get rid of this gun control bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
And that was exactly what my question was going to be to you. So here on forward, what's the next step? The next step is to keep the pressure on and hit the streets.
We need to mobilize slowly. We need to get more people on board. I know the Cape Town march is happening, and unfortunately, I can't be there. I would have loved, but I think Themba's going to be there. You know what I mean? And that's a start. We had the one where we were driving on the highway with the stickers in the cars with Gosa. And now there's the one that's happening in Cape Town. You see, we're slowly building up. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week where we're just going to have the Million Man March like they had in Washington. But I'm hoping that with time, we will get to a place where there'll be 100,000 or maybe even 200,000. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with you telling your mate, me telling my mate, and him telling his mate. That's how it starts. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it. And the other thing that we kind of need to do in this regard is, Charlene, it is next week. It's Jeepers Kgofu. Is it the 18th or the 19th? I'm not the convener on this one. It's the 19th. It's Thursday.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Thursday, but I'll post the link on the Riots Facebook page. I know you are on there because you're watching, obviously, from there. But just to add to Chris, there's no real updates, but I'd like to believe we've successfully hit the brakes on it. Now what we need to do is get that law in the reverse gear and push it off a cliff. It's not enough to just stop it where it is. We have momentum. We've got media coverage. We have a coalition of 17 different organizations, which includes AfriForum, that are willing to take this thing to court if it need be. We have a huge amount of mass and volume. The taxi associations are there. They just haven't officially joined the party, but I'd like to believe they will. I like to believe that when you blow on the horn of Gondor, they will come. To be a geek.
And we know what the taxi association can do. We know. And I know this because my dad was in the taxi association, and my brother is now in the taxi association. And isn't it beautiful how, as much as we hate how the taxi drivers drive on the road, but we just came here.
Well, Ian Cameron shared a story, and I know we're over time now.
The robbery.
Days ago about the taxi driver that stopped the robbery of the Uber driver.
I saw that.
I need to get one of the taxi guys on the stream, but I don't know how to reach out to them. I don't know if you can do it on my behalf, maybe, and just invite.
I'll speak to my brother, see what he says, and then hopefully we can get him on. But
and if they've got taboo stuff that they don't want us to talk about, that's fine. But I'd like to at least open a conversation, and one can take it further.
No, I'll definitely get him on. He's a very cool guy, pretty much like me. Talks a lot more shit than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hard. No, I'm kidding.
but very, very, very cool guy. This is a guy who's got AR-15s, Smith & Wessons and all of that, and he's a taxi owner, by the way. Contrary to what we sometimes think that, taxi owners are always running around with Tauruses. Okay, he did own one at some point,
He has to stay close to his roots, right? I mean...
Yeah. This is very, very... But I'll have a chat with him. And bring him on the show so that we can, have a chat. I come from a family of shooters, people. We're a bunch of gunheads. Where I come from is like Texas. I'm kidding.
It's like, as Pule says, lots of secret gun nuts in the townships, and I want to get these people loud and proud. This is what we need to do, get them out the closet.
No, definitely. And look, I understand where they're coming from. It's going to take time, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
What I mean? We'll get there. A lot of guys are getting armed, and that's all that matters right now. That guys are getting armed. It's a great start. We're off to a great start. All the work that has been put in from way back is now starting to bear fruit now. And it's only going to get better from here. It's only going to get better. And it's getting better because the work was put in before. And we got to still keep putting in the work now so that going forward, we get the fruits. You know,
Exactly.
gun control ain't gonna disappear because you're sitting on your fucking couch and making a noise on the socials. You know what I mean? That helps, but
I have to say, like, that is the thing. We need to get off our asses. So, folks, that's the message. Keep the pressure up. Do not become despondent. Do not give up. Listen to what Kgofu said. We need to hit the streets. And we will be back next week with some more stuff. Kgofu, thanks for joining tonight. Folks, thanks for watching. Keep an eye on the Parado's Facebook page. I will let you know about the march. I will post the details on there tonight still. And
yeah, thanks to the listeners,
thanks
guys.
for watching,
thanks
guys.
for tuning in. We really appreciate you, and for all the nice comments. And guys, tell your mates to come and watch the show. You know what I mean? We need to get more people watching the show, and we really, really, genuinely appreciate you guys watching. This show wouldn't be here without you guys, and also thanks to you, Gideon, for putting it all together, man. Really, really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I thoroughly enjoy these, dude. They are so much fun. So, and I like getting this perspective out, because if one more politician, if one more lefty fuckface has to tell me, oh, it's just white guys and guns, I'm like, oh, I have some people I'd like to introduce you to. What can smoke off your face.
They need to wait till they see the guest who's coming.
Wait till they see the guest who's coming. You've got his number as well, right? Or was it Themba had his number?
It's Themba.
I'm going to tell Themba to also drop him a WhatsApp, put some pressure on. But that's lekker. Yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you. We're well over time. We gave you 10% extra on